Tori chose the other side. But we can't keep letting her get in our heads like this.
Let's be real for a moment. The final episode of Season 6 Part 2 of Cobra Kai had all of us reeling. If the intense matches at the Sekai Taikai were not enough, now we have one of Cobra Kai's own dying on the mat, with the future of the tournament in disarray, and still many unanswered questions about everything that has happened so far. For instance, why did Tory leave Miyagi-Do and join Cobra Kai? We had hoped that Part 2 of the season would explain this adequately, but it didn't even touch upon it. Moreover, the looming mystery of Mr. Miyagi himself not being a black and white person who can do no wrong is still something fans are worried about. For now, we know he killed his opponent during his match at the Sekai Taikai back then, but that's all we know. Why Mr. Miyagi would resort to this level of violence, and why he later constantly emphasizes the need for balance is really conflicting. All in all, Cobra Kai fans have their plates full of theories and predictions about the end of the show, which is not so far now given that Part 3 of Season 6 airs in just a few months. The drama is sure to increase tenfold, with every story coming to a somewhat satisfactory end, as fans are hoping. John Hurwitz, the co-creator of the show, remarked that placing different characters in different environments across different episodes is something they prefer, because it makes the episode more dynamic. So here we are today, taking a look at some of the most interesting theories and predictions about the final season of Cobra Kai, and pointing out which of these theories has actually come true. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The story so far. In Season 6 Part 2, the Sekai Taikai is in full swing in Barcelona, Spain. The elite tournament will decide the best dojo in the world, and is a huge deal in the realm of karate. As seen in the last episode of Part 1 of Season 6, after losing her mother, Tori changes sides at the last minute and shifts to Cobra Kai, shocking everyone, especially her boyfriend Robbie. The reason for her change in allegiance has not yet been revealed, and this is something we'll explore in the theories and predictions section. But this decision certainly rattled Miyagi-Do to its core. With one of their best fighters down, the team had to improvise, and Devon made a treacherous decision of pulling one over on Kenny to make sure she got a place within the final lineup instead of him. While Kenny's not aware of this yet, it's quite possible that once he comes to know the truth, he'll not take it idly and may switch sides to Cobra Kai. This could possibly leave Miyagi-Do down another member, and we'll talk about this as well. As the groups arrive in Barcelona, tensions are at an all-time high, with Robbie constantly feeling distracted by Tori's decision to leave Miyagi-Do. Moreover, Quan teasing him by placing his arms around his girlfriend doesn't seem to alleviate any of his worries about her, and Robbie ends up technically cheating on Tori, which she discovers as well. Now, Robbie's the male captain of Miyagi-Do, so his actions will have an effect on the rest of the team. His distracted state invites criticism from Miguel, who's angry at Robbie for losing focus. Amidst all this, there comes news that Carmen and the baby are doing poorly, which prompts Johnny and Miguel to leave to go back to the USA, and this invites even more trouble for Miyagi-Do, since they're a sensei and another fighter down. To replace Miguel, Kenny is called to come to Barcelona, while Chosen takes Johnny's place. Devon has a change of heart and finally admits that she placed laxatives in Kenny's water, which made him lose out his spot in the team. Due to her confession, she's out of the team, while Kenny joins. While all this happens, another old villain from the series and the movies returns, Terry Silver, and he has revenge on his mind against both Cobra Kai as well as Miyagi-Do. He's managed to get out of prison and make his comeback, much to the chagrin of our main characters. This time, he's assumed the top role in a dojo known as Iron Dragons, whom he's trained specifically to beat every other dojo at the Sekai Taikai. How Miyagi-Do will fare against not one, but two of their old rivals will be a mystery that will only be unearthed in the next part of Season 6. While most of Season 6 Part 2 showed a lot of infighting and drama among the main characters, things came to a head in the last episode titled Do. It came as good news for Miyagi-Do when they were able to defeat Cobra Kai and advance to the next round, which also meant that Cobra Kai was eliminated from the Sekai Taikai. However, it also happened that one of the other qualifying teams had used performance-enhancing drugs and was therefore eliminated, making Cobra Kai the runner-up for the spot as the team with the next highest points. During the fight between Robbie and Axel, male captain of the Iron Dragons, all hell broke loose when the senseis of the disqualified team let his kids loose on the entire tournament, creating a huge ruckus where pretty much everyone started fighting with each other. This led to John Kreese and Terry Silver locking horns, with the former trying to kill him once and for all, using his Do from Master Kim. However, in the middle of the fight, the dagger was misplaced and found by none other than Quan, the male captain of Cobra Kai. He also had murder on his mind, but unfortunately, he happened to fall straight on the knife and bleed out. Cobra Kai never dies until one of its students does apparently. This mayhem at the tournament, coupled with the death of a student, which has not happened in many years, is something extremely shocking and disturbing. The second part of Season 6 ended with Quan dying of blood loss after getting stabbed accidentally, and now the future of the Sekai Taikai, as well as that of Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, is facing a question mark. Daniel also has a hard time throughout the tournament, not just because he's the sensei of Miyagi-Do, but also because of a shocking truth he learned about. When he inquired about the match that Mr. Miyagi had played in the Sekai Taikai, he got to know that the match had ended in the death of one of the opponents, and Mr. Miyagi actually killed his opponent. This makes sense now because the old headband had blood on it. However, for Daniel, accepting that his master could do something so violent is too much to handle, and he ends up getting nightmares about Mr. Miyagi beating him to a pulp, almost killing him. While there's not much mentioned about Mr. Miyagi's past except this, we can naturally assume that the final part will tie those loose ends once and for all.
No, I couldn't do that to the Miyagi-Dos.
Kenny will go over to Cobra Kai. One of the first predictions fans made after part 1 of Season 6 ended was that Kenny, feeling humiliated by the outcome of the events that had happened, would switch his allegiance and go over to Cobra Kai to teach Miyagi-Do a lesson. Kenny is one of the best fighters in the dojo, undoubtedly, and even though he's not sure who jinxed his path toward joining the lineup, he's certain that there was foul play involved. Naturally, it's understandable if he, as a teenager with fire in his veins, decided to take revenge on the entirety of Miyagi-Do because of this incident. Considering that Tory also switched sides from Miyagi-Do to Cobra Kai, fans expressed that it would mean a considerable shake in the balance of power if another good fighter changed sides as well. As such, Kreese is well known for having his students fight from their anger, so strike first, strike hard, no mercy can once again become Kenny's motto. While this was a very commendable prediction, it almost came true in part. As it turns out, Kenny's return to the team in Barcelona is not accepted well by everyone, since they still think that with Silver coming back, he can try to recruit Kenny and turn him against Miyagi-Do. Kenny is actually approached by the older sensei, and in fact, it appears that he even considers the offer to switch allegiances. However, after Robbie gives Kenny the opportunity to fight against some tough and hardened opponents, Kenny overpowers them all and refuses to agree to Silver's request by giving him the finger. Kenny's character is shown to be quite noble and loyal, because even though he had somewhat valid reasons to humiliate Miyagi-Do and turn his back on them, he does not, and gives his best to fight for them.
Right. Accountability.
Devon's treachery will be exposed. No act of cowardice will ultimately go unnoticed. Fans believe that Devon, after having pulled a laxative stunt on Kenny and managing to join the team to go to Barcelona, will come clean about her actions. It's painfully obvious that she's reeling with guilt over her actions because she knows better than anyone the reason why she did it was because Kenny was a far better fighter than her. Johnny in particular was rooting for Devon and was very happy that she made it into the team and was constantly praising her for it, which was adding to her guilt. She naturally views him as a father figure, and Johnny still does not know that she had cheated her way into the team. So his continued praise for her will be likely to trigger her conscience, and she'll probably blurt out the truth. How Johnny will take to her accepting her treachery and react to it will be interesting to see. As it turns out, in part 2, Kenny is incidentally called back to join the team when Miguel temporarily leaves to go back to the USA. However, at the same time, Devon also confesses what she had done, which naturally meant she could no longer be part of the team. Kenny also forgives her for her actions and appreciates her for coming forward and apologizing. Tory will find Kreese killed her mother. This is a bit of a wild card, but many fans suspect that Kreese was behind the death of Tory's mother. It's simply too coincidental that she died on the same day that Kreese spoke to Tory and called her his champion. Knowing Kreese, he would stop at absolutely nothing to get what he wants, and murdering a sick woman to make her daughter come back to him so he can exploit her shaky emotional state is not far from what he can actually do. And if this is the case, then it's not long before Tory suspects that something foul has happened and stumbles on a clue about something that will make her suspect Kreese is behind her mother's death. Or as some fans say, it's possible that she already knows Kreese could have a hand in the death of her mother. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right? What if Tory is simply pretending to have allied with Kreese, to keep an eye on him, and to possibly uncover the truth and turn on him at the most opportune moment? She's dealing with a lot emotionally, absolutely, but she's someone who knows firsthand just to what extent Kreese will go to get what he wants. It's possible that she's just keeping up a facade to make sure she has an eye on the sensei. If you ask me, both of these theories sound a little far-fetched, because while Kreese is certainly a sly dog, it's not certain that he would go to the lengths of murdering someone, especially his student's mother. Also, Tory's just a teenager, so it's highly unlikely that she's scheming all of this while trying to get over the death of her mother at the same time. However, if one of these do happen to be true, that would be quite something, wouldn't it? Miyagi-Do will lose at Sekai Taikai. This one might not be very popular considering that Miyagi-Do is the main dojo in the show, but let's face it, they may not have the best fighters at all times. With Tory gone, they're already in a crisis, and Miguel's exclusion can only mean additional worry for them. Moreover, it will just be too boring if they win the tournament. After all, that's probably the most cliche ending the show can have, right? It's also important to consider that Cobra Kai isn't the only competitor they'll have to face. There will be teams from all around the world, and especially the Iron Dragons can be a very formidable opponent to beat. So even though most fans want Miyagi-Do to win the tournament and have the show end on a perfect note, it might not be what the showrunners have in mind. Maybe it will be shown that they defeat Cobra Kai, but the ultimate winner will be someone else. Terry Silver will make a comeback. Many fans have been hoping that Terry Silver will be coming back in the final season, and this does come true. Let's face it, there aren't a lot of villains in the movies, and therefore the show can only use and reuse certain characters. John Kreese is certainly one of the main villains, but he alone cannot bear the burden of being the antagonist, and thus, fans believe that the other important villain, Silver, would once again make a comeback and try to possibly team up with Kreese to take down Miyagi-Do. However, as it turns out, Silver does come back, but wants to take down both Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai this time, and earn the crown of the tournament winner for his new dojo, the Iron Dragons. Silver is someone who has always used crooked ways to get what he wants, so whether he pulls any stunts at the Sekai Taikai to make the other dojos suffer a disadvantage will be interesting to see.
You look a little tense, John. Just like the old.
Kreese will redeem himself. A very popular theory fans have regarding the ending of the show is that John Kreese will have a redemption arc, and this will end up with him destroying Cobra Kai, the manifestation of his ambition. Kreese is a deeply flawed man who doesn't hesitate to undertake crooked means to get what he wants, but fans believe that the showrunners will pair Silver as the main antagonist instead of Kreese at the end of the show, and this will give Cobra Kai Sensei a chance to redeem himself and turn over a new leaf for good. It's also notable that fans think Tori will be the key to Kreese's redemption. She's had no father figure in her life except him, despite the problematic things he's taught her. Now that her mother is no more and she needs to look after herself, Kreese will step up and at the end of the show, assume the role of a genuine caregiver. We realize that this theory directly contradicts with the one we mentioned earlier, which says that Kreese may have killed Tori's mother, but well, these are just theories we've assembled. They may or may not happen, so don't shoot the messenger. Julie Pierce will appear at the end. Hilary Swank's Julie Pierce from the next Karate Kid is one of the most anticipated stars believed to make an appearance in the final part of Season 6. She may not have been directly involved with the Reluso arc of the stories, but she's still a pupil of Mr. Miyagi, and therefore it's possible that she will appear. However, this is a matter of big contention, because Swank is an expecting parent, and therefore it's unsure if she will be able to have a role in the show. In this case, fans will say that she will not make an appearance, but will be referenced by name, tying up a loose end from the movies. There are some who believe Julie Pierce is actually Tori's mother, but this does seem a little too out of the blue.
Check it on.
Mr. Han will also make an appearance. Jackie Chan's The Karate Kid 2010 is usually believed to be set in a universe different from Mr. Miyagi and Daniel LaRusso. However, there are talks about Ralph Macchio, who plays LaRusso, and Jackie Chan, who plays Mr. Han, coming together to develop a new Karate Kid movie sometime in the near future. If this is true, then the show can act as a sort of prequel to this movie, and show Mr. Han appearing at the Sekai Taikai, or sometime after, to prepare the audience for an association between Daniel and Mr. Han. Of course, nothing has been finalized yet, so all of this is speculation, but fans are excited to see Jackie Chan back in action. Johnny and Carmen will get married. This one is more or less a very predictable theory, because Johnny and Carmen are expecting a kid together. In the second part of Season 6, Johnny and Miguel take a trip back to the States when they hear that Carmen and the baby are not faring well. However, the duo are ultimately safe, and so it can be assumed that the series will end with wedding bells for Carmen and Johnny, who will now have a family to look after. It will be a nice way to end Johnny's story too, since at the beginning of the show, he was seen as a man who had no family or dreams or aspirations. His ending up with a wife and a child, in addition to being a karate sensei, will be a great way to wind up his plotline. Johnny will take over Cobra Kai again. This one is also a somewhat unpopular view because Cobra Kai comprises everything that Johnny has been fighting against. He grew up with the principles of Cobra Kai etched into his brain, and then left it to establish himself beyond the bounds that were controlling him. However, his partnership with Daniel has always been shaky, so if Kreese is out of the picture, he might as well take over Cobra Kai once again, and this time build it with a much healthier outlook. This way, he will no longer be reliant on Daniel, and will also be able to go back to being friendly rivals with him. Daniel will find peace and balance. Daniel is shown as one of the more healthy characters in the show, but we all know he can be quite problematic sometimes as well. He's consistently chosen Miyagi-Do over his family, and his desire to prove that he's better than Cobra Kai is something that overpowers everything else he feels. Now that he knows Mr. Miyagi is not the man he thought him to be, Daniel will have to reevaluate his entire life choices, which he built as a result of Mr. Miyagi's teachings. He'll ultimately find the balance he's been looking for so desperately. He'll have to make peace with the fact that Mr. Miyagi was not a saint and had flaws of his own. By accepting this, Daniel will also be able to embrace mindfulness and become a better version of himself. Mr. Miyagi's past will come to light. Finally, the entire truth about Mr. Miyagi's life will come to light. As we already know, he had taken part in the Sekai Taikai at some point in time, and had also killed his opponent in the process. However, there are some other mysteries that have not been addressed yet, such as the newspaper clipping about the theft, which Daniel, Amanda, and Chosen found in his box. The mystery of the headband has also been solved, so fans believe that hopefully the rest of the items will also be revealed to be part of Mr. Miyagi's seemingly turbulent life. Marvelous verdict. The last part of Season 6 will put an interesting spin on things for sure. As mentioned, some of these theories and predictions have already ended up coming true in the second part of the final season. Therefore, there's a good chance that a few more of these will also end up coming true. However, only time can tell if they will, and how the showrunners intend to wind up the events of the last 5.5 seasons. What do you think of these theories? Are there any here that we have not mentioned? If yes, please do let us know in the comments what your thoughts are, and how you think the show will end. We'll see you soon. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.